many of these guys watching this video do you think will actually be able to make that kind of money in their business?
You talking about what we just recorded on the $100,000, you know, how you make $100,000 a year without, you know, or by working part-time?
Yeah.
I mean, any of these guys that really, or most of them, I mean, unless you're in some super small podunk market or something like that, should be able to really, you know, accomplish this for sure. But what's going to happen is a lot of them that watch this video, you know, we just sat there and we outlined really the plan on what the plan is, the steps. It's a 10-step process. If you follow that, yeah, there's some details in between, but if you follow that 10-step process and you do it for a steady 3 years, most of these guys should find themselves at that $100,000 income mark, $100,000 net benefit mark, working part-time. Because at that point, just like, you know, I've got with junk doctors, I mean, it's kind of even on another level, but there's people in place that are doing the work, all right? So, and then you got a supervisor in place that is making sure the truck maintenance is done, that the trucks are staying clean. You got somebody, you hire somebody that their sole job is just to keep your trucks inside and out clean.
Okay.
And then you got a maintenance company. All the supervisor has to do is just send the truck in for maintenance when it's needed. And then you've got a plan in place where you're replacing old trucks with new ones. After 3 years, you won't have had to have done that yet, but you're setting off some money to the side where you'll constantly be having some new equipment in there in order to make sure that the trucks that you're putting out there are in good shape. And why that matters is your guys are going to be happier because they're in newer equipment. The air conditioning works, it's comfortable, you know, it's not breaking down on them. And the other end of it is it's more predictable, because when trucks break down, that's when you start getting late to jobs. That's when your maintenance costs go up. It's just much harder to predict. And then you have either a contact center like we do at JRA answering your phones, or maybe you hired somebody. The contact center, if you want to do that part-time, is probably the better way, because you're not having to train the contact center. You don't have to oversee them.
Right.
We booked, I don't know, 10,000 junk removal jobs, probably more than that last year alone.
Yeah.
It's probably way over that. It's probably like 16, I think it was like 16,000. So you've got all these individual pieces, and all you're having to do is monitor your Workies reports, your QuickBooks reports, and occasionally pop in, talk to your guys from time to time is always good. Just kind of mix yourself in, but there's nothing really that's required from you. So making that $100,000 in that 3-year time frame, it's like 2 to 3 years of super hard work, and then it's on that 3rd year or that 4th year starting to kind of gradually cut back. And I believe just about anybody can accomplish that. And one of the things I think is going to happen, though, is they'll get to that $100,000 mark and they probably won't want to quit growing.
Right.
The neat thing is, though, is you can continue growing this thing by either putting in some more time yourself or just holding off, taking money out of the business, just reinvesting back into it. And you can turn that $100,000 a year income into, you know, $300,000 or $400,000 a year with really the same amount of work.
Yeah.
You know, just expanding out the time that it takes to accomplish that. But it's the same thing. There could be some markets out there that are smaller. Maybe they have to add a new service, or they have to expand into a new market or whatever. But you know, if you've got if you're in a market with about 1 million plus population, that $100,000 a year income part-time is totally doable within about 3 years.
Nice. And so if they were at 3 years, if they were at $100,000, they want to stay there, they could just keep maintaining it, or they could reinvest and then.
Yeah, there always need to be some reinvestment in terms of trucks and equipment as it wears out. But what you do is you just got to put you got to put a little bit of money aside every single month, which is essentially your truck replacement fee in a way. Okay. Which is all you got to do is just put up enough to put a down payment down on a truck or whatever like that, because you're constantly going to be paying. You know, most of these guys are going to have truck payments, and at some point you might get to the point where you've got everything paid off. But yeah, that's right. I mean, they get to $100,000 and they kind of work on, they only focus their advertising on the stuff that's really working. They might even cut back a little bit on the amount they are paying towards advertising. In terms of they lower their bids, like on Google Ads, where they're not being quite as aggressive or whatever like that, and they just make sure they're doing a really good job with the jobs they get. They're keeping in touch with their repeat customers and everything. And yeah, I mean, it's totally totally doable, and they can have a really comfortable life there, sitting there with a 2 or 3 truck operation, or really a 2 truck operation at that point, making 100 grand a year. That's a pretty easy business to manage at that point.
Sounds awesome. So they just got to put in the work for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years. It's 2 to 3 years of real kind of hard work and not making a bunch of money. And then after that, that's when it really, really can take off. So that was a neat video we did, putting out. I think it'll be helpful to people. And so many people get into this business and they're just thinking about hauling the junk. The junk is just it's just really not unimportant. It's like you shouldn't even think about what you're carrying out. It's how do you build this business. No matter what you're doing, there's a way to build a business to where you can accomplish that. Most people screw up is they have a plan and they don't stick to it. So, think of 2 airplanes taking off. They're taking off from the same place. They're going to the same place. It's the same exact airplane. They're both Boeing 737s or whatever. That same speed, winds are the same and all like that. One guy takes off and he moves on and he just does little minor deviations every once in a while for weather. And the other guy takes off and he's doing 45-degree changes. He's going the same speed. He's working just as hard. But this guy's going to get there almost twice as fast as this guy, if this guy doesn't run out of fuel.
Right.
So that's the thing, if he takes off doing these 45 degrees, he's probably going to run out of fuel, and he's probably going to crash. Now, is it a crash landing, or is it you crash and burn? Crash landing, you'll survive. Crash and burn, that guy might never try and get in business again. So sticking with the plan, doing it long enough, working that plan. And the reason a lot of people shift and go back and forth is they're afraid of missing out. They're fearful. They've got a lot of doubt. You got to figure out a way to crush that doubt. Stick to the plan. It's been proven out. Hundreds of junk removal businesses have done it. They follow that. They'll be successful with it. Time to eat.
Yeah, dude.